Del Toro had thought long and hard about how to translate Lovecraft's supposedly unfilmable story into a large-scale commercial horror film. The director wrote in Haunted Castle's Dark Mirrors that his adaptation took necessary liberties but remained faithful to every landmark of the novel. Cabinet of Curiosities offers a few hints at aspects of his creative approach, specifically the age-old problem of Lovecraft's monsters. He mentions grappling with Lovecraft's more definite descriptions, like the appearance of the Elder Things, and interpreting the author's more ambiguous descriptions as an opportunity to explore the possibilities of shape-shifting. At least one draft of Del Toro and Matthew Robbins' screenplay for the proposed 2010-2011 version of Mountains has surfaced online. Since Del Toro is still actively pursuing this project, and because this script may contain elements he still plans to incorporate into a future production, we won't go into too much detail here. All of the basic elements of Lovecraft's story are indeed maintained. The 1930s period setting, the Antarctic research expedition, and the framing of events as a dire warning to the rest of humanity. Naturally, the script does have to take some artistic license with how this information is presented. Lovecraft put it in the form of an urgent and rambling scientific account with only minimal attention to plot. Del Toro attempts to give it more of a cinematic sweep by organizing everything into a structured and visually unfolding narrative. We open on the discovery of a lost ship and the rescue of a mad survivor. From the cell of a mental hospital, he relates his story through flashback. We're introduced to the expedition, we watch it prepare and embark. We witness it go awry. Much of Lovecraft's scientific jargon and mythological detail is preserved. We get the same sense, as in the story, of very intelligent people uncovering something they can only barely wrap their minds around. There are many additions and elaborations, but the biggest is probably the inclusion of an additional storyline, where the expedition survivors do battle with the Shoggoths and assimilated members of their own crew to prevent the annihilation of humanity. It's controversial amongst die-hard fans, but it seems a necessary concession considering the size and expense of Del Toro's proposed film. Thankfully, the director is careful to use it only as ornamentation and not as a replacement for Lovecraft's original intentions. As he stated, the script contains every landmark of the original novel. They still discover a vast mountain range. They still explore an unfathomably antiquated alien city. The characters piece together the same horrifying secrets and reach the same despairing existential conclusions. These original events are merely juxtaposed alongside new events. The ending goes big. There's an apocalyptic climax, an eye-popping appearance by Cthulhu, and an ominous conclusion that captures the source material's cosmic dread astonishingly well. It's only a blueprint, but there's more than enough there to indicate that this could have been a pretty great film. Del Toro's stated ambition was to create something that hadn't been seen in years, an epic, tentpole horror film, the first made on the scale of a David Lean production. His models were such high-profile studio horror movies as Alien, The Shining, and Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. The script has met with criticism over the years. Some say it has too much action, too many monsters, and not enough atmosphere. Others compare it unfavorably to John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a little funny because the novella that film is based on, Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr., is supposedly a riff on Lovecraft's Mountains. The thing to remember is that Del Toro's art is a mostly visual one. Just as Lovecraft's power came from his use of language, so too does Del Toro's genius lie in his imagery. The director has stated that he considers the visual aspect of his films, which he has famously dubbed eye protein, as opposed to eye candy, constitutes up to 80% of their total experience. The potential greatness of Mountains sprang from the gigantic scale of its planned visualization. Del Toro wrote in Haunted Castle's Dark Mirrors that from 2009 to 2011, he spent his every waking hour sketching, sculpting, and writing about every detail of this adaptation. Yonzi of Sigoros composed some early music tracks, and the production would eventually amass hundreds of pieces of artwork, including conceptual drawings, storyboards, and fully sculpted models. Tantalizing bits of this visual material have trickled out in the 10-plus years since the project's cancellation. Around 2016, a Del Toro museum exhibit featured a design for a grotesque, deformed penguin. And in November 2022, Del Toro posted a CGI test of a Shoggoth assimilation to his Instagram. These are just little pieces, but the amount of detail apparent in each one demonstrates what an incredible visual feast Del Toro must have been concocting. In 2016, he revealed the film was so close to production that he was in the middle of scouting locations in Alaska, when, without warning, it collapsed. The size of the budget, the mounting pressure of its box office performance, and the director's refusal to budge on the R rating were cited as the leading causes of its sudden demise. Del Toro held out hope for the film over the next few years, but in 2012, production on Ridley Scott's similarly themed Prometheus, a prequel to his already quite Lovecraftian classic Alien, officially ended plans for Mountains.